we want to solve this equation. We have the absolute value of 2x minus 6 equals the absolute value of x plus 9. Right? This one looks a little bit interesting, right? We have both sides that have an absolute value in them, right? I mean, we've solved equations where only one side has an absolute value, okay? But now there's both sides with an absolute value, and actually, it's sort of the same problem, right? Remember, whenever you have an absolute value in the problem, it doesn't matter if it's an equation or an inequality, there's always going to be two different cases, right? So in this case, we're going to look at what if they both have the same sign, right? So what if 2x minus 6 is equal to x plus 9? Okay, they both have the same sign. Okay. But then what is the other scenario? Well, remember, we have to look at also the negative side or the negative values, right? So in this case, we have to set 2x minus 6 equal to the negative of x plus 9. Notice, once we set up our two equations, we don't see the absolute value symbols anymore. They're sort of disappeared, right? But what's the differences between these two equations? Here we have the positive and the positive. The left side is positive, the right side is positive. Here we have still 2x minus 6, but then on the right, the whole thing is negative. That's why we put the negative with the parentheses. And from here, we should be able to solve both of these equations, right? We get negative x, or in this case, we're going to subtract x to both sides. X minus 6 is equal to 9. Okay. If we add 6 to both sides here, then we're going to get our first answer. We get a positive 15. Okay. Now, here you got to be a little bit careful, right? Here, in this case, we want to make sure we distribute the negative first. So we get negative x minus 9. Now we should be able to isolate, right? I'm going to add the 6, or I'm to add the x to both sides, excuse me. We get 3x minus 6 equals negative 9. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Notice that here we get 3x is equal to negative 3. And finally, when I divide both sides by 3, I get my final answer, in this case, of negative 1. Remember, these are both the answers. There's two answers here, right? So what does that mean? It means that, well, if we plug in the 15 here and 15 here and we work everything out, we should get the same result, right? In this case, let's try that. The absolute value of 2 times 15 minus 6, does that equal the absolute value of 15 plus 9? Well, 2 times 15 is 30. 30 minus 6 is 24. The absolute value of 24, does that equal the absolute value of 15 plus 9, which is 24? And in this case, sure, right? 24 equals 24. That means that this works out. That is an answer. Notice what happens when we plug in the negative one, though, right? So I get, okay, 2 times negative 1 minus 6 equals absolute value of negative 1 plus 9. Well, wait a minute. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 minus 6. That gives us negative 8. What happens here? Negative 1 plus 9 is positive 8. But remember, we still have the absolute value to deal with. What is the absolute value of negative 8? It's just positive 8. So what does that mean? Well, positive, right? What does that mean? It means that that answer also checks out. Remember, 8 is not the answer here. Our answers are the ones that we solved, in this case that I've boxed, right? The 15 and negative 1.